Hello, and welcome to the Homeschooling and Loving It podcast. I'm your host, Jamie, your friend at homeschool.com and homeschool mom of 6. Join us as we keep it real and chat about the ups and downs of this amazing adventure we call the homeschool life. So grab a cup of your warm favorite and a comfy chair, and let's get started. Hello, homeschool heroes. Welcome back to homeschool.com's Homeschooling and Loving It podcast. Did you know that homeschooling is one of the fastest growing forms of education in the U.S.? There are over 3 million homeschool students now, and this number is constantly increasing. With all those homeschoolers, many parents are challenged by juggling all the responsibilities. If that's you, I can definitely say I'm with you. I find it very difficult sometimes to juggle everything and keep things organized. Are you ready to transform your homeschool experience? Join us today as we dive into some tips and tricks to keep your homeschool organized and your sanity intact. All of this is the goal to make it easier for us to juggle all the things. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to jump right into some tips and practical things that we can use today. So tip number 1, design a homeschool command center. And I love this idea because one of the things that wastes a lot of time in my life is looking for stuff. Where did I put this? Where did I write that down? Where's that appointment card? So having all your primary materials in an easy to access place is crucial. Whether you have a designated room for your homeschool or not, a bookshelf assigned just for homeschooling materials like your curriculum or books or file folders or your tablets or art supplies can make a huge difference. Keep your space neat. This will help you stay organized. When you go to look for something, it'll be right there. You can jump right into homeschooling and get things done. All right, tip number 2, create a homeschool morning basket. I know morning baskets were kind of all the rage and, it's a big helpful thing, especially when your kids are younger, but it's a nice way for moms, dads, and older homeschool kids to get the day started. They provide a routine for your children and really just kind of a jumping off or a starting off point for us as parents. We can fill the basket with books, activities, materials, pencils, paper, pens, what those necessary things that you'll need to get things started. One thing I like to do first thing in the morning is to take some time to read my Bible and pray. And so putting that all together in that morning basket place, for me, my morning basket is actually a drawer in my kitchen. And so I have everything right there. I just pull it out and I can get started. Super simple, and I don't have to look for it. Again, saving time, keeping our sanity. All right, so tip number 3, let's utilize some wall space. A lot of times we think we have to have furniture, a desk, or a shelf or something. Well, use the wall. Hang things up that help you stay organized. So if you have some free wall space, use it to store your materials, whether it's homeschooling or organizational tools, whatever. Maybe it's a bulletin board where you can keep things that help the entire family stay on task and stay organized. You could even have a shelf, just a small shelf, if you don't have a lot of wall space, for pencils and crayons and scissors, things where the kids can see there they are. That's where they go when I'm done, and I can put them away. And there they are again when I need to get started really quick. Plus, it keeps all your work surfaces clutter-free and open for lots of good homeschool work to be done. This is super helpful, like if you don't have a homeschool room and you're homeschooling, especially like at your kitchen table, which we did for a lot of years. It helps you stay organized. Tip number 4, construct a homeschool planner. And this, in today's world, can look like so many different things. It could be paper and pencil. It could be digital. It could be an app. There are so many amazing solutions for this super tool, really. I have to say I cannot live without my planner. It helps me to stay on task. It helps me to remember how I need to help my children stay on task. It helps my kids. I've tried to teach them how to use planners. It really is an indispensable tool that can be helpful for your family on so many different levels. can be helpful for homeschooling, keeping track of your lesson plans, your daily schedules, your attendance records, if you have to keep those, and grades, even your reading logs, what the kids have been reading throughout the year. It can also double as a menu planner, and it can also double as just a general reminder of dentist and eye doctor and all the different appointments that we have in the course of the week. It's definitely a lifesaver. And if you haven't started using one, find one that fits your lifestyle. I have a lot of friends that are like, oh, I can't use a paper planner. I lose it, or I never, I write a few things and then I waste the thing and never use it again. Maybe you're a digital girl. Maybe you need to find a digital planner or an app that helps you. But I just encourage you to use something to help you. It's just really a wonderful tool. Okay, tip number 5, organize a homeschool workstation. I kind of tied into this just a little bit ago when we were talking about wall space, and I suggested putting up a bulletin board. A workstation can be that. It can be a bulletin board. You can get really even creative with your bulletin boards and put interactive things on the bulletin board itself, like maybe folders, big, huge mailing envelopes that double as a place where kids can put their finished work, all kinds of fun things that you can use that bulletin board for, not just organization, keeping track of assignments and all of that, but an interactive way to help you stay on top of the workload of homeschooling. All right, tip number 6, provide a homeschool bin for each child. Now, I do have to admit, when I was homeschooling all 6 of my kids at the same time, we used bins, and I can just say it was the best decision I had ever made. I took a bin for each one of the kids. The 2 little ones shared half a bin because I think there was maybe one of those bins that had several drawers in it. In every drawer, I put whatever they needed for that subject. So for example, if it was math, and they could use the calculator, their pencil, the pencil sharpener, their notebook, and their textbook were all in the bin. When it was time for math, we didn't have to run around the house looking for all the elements that we needed to get that accomplished. It was all right there in the drawer. Pull it out, get started. Really wonderful tool to help keep things manageable, on task, and going smoothly in the course of your day. A fun thing you can do is, sometimes they're like a clear kind of bin. You can let the kids put stickers on them and decorate them, make it real fun for your classroom. It can be somewhat of a pretty steep investment, but it's really worth it. It really helps keep everything in one place. And especially if you don't have a homeschool room, it's kind of your homeschool room on the go. The kids can store them back in their room when they're done, bring them out to the kitchen table. It makes cleanup a breeze too. All right, tip number 7, assign a color for each subject. This is really helpful, especially, again, if you have quite a few children. You can use the different colors, planning to just see and know, okay, all of this, purple is all math, red is all language arts, whatever. It does help keep things organized. And then the kids are used to seeing that color too. All right, tip number 8, arrange assignments by week. And so I started doing this years and years ago. I found that some of my kids really like to see a bird's eye view of what they're doing for the week. And so if I could have all of their assignments printed out in a checklist, that was like the best thing I found that worked by far, the greatest with my kids. But a checklist that showed the whole week, and it gave them, especially as they got older, middle school to high school, gave them the option to adjust their schedule, to rearrange things, to complete their homeschool, everything they needed to complete for the week. But they had the discretion to do it when they felt like doing it. But this was super important, especially as they were older, high school, and they were learning how to plan on their own and taking more responsibility for getting these assignments accomplished, maybe while they're juggling work or sports or other things in their life. And so I feel like doing this and just saying, okay, I need you to accomplish this much this week to meet, the different standards and stuff that you the goals that you have for the year. That gives them a goal, but it also gives them that flexibility to learn how to plan for themselves, to use planning tools, to prep themselves for higher education if that's where they're going, and even life in general, because they're going to have to manage workloads and parenting or homekeeping or whatever in their future, and this prepares them. So it also is super helpful if your state requires you to keep a portfolio, because you can have these weekly work plans. Basically, it's a lesson plan, but it can be simple. It can be as simple and straightforward as, language arts book, page 21 through 25, focus on parts of speech, whatever. It can be super simple. It doesn't have to go into granular detail. All right, tip number 9, paint a chalkboard wall. This is super fun, super helpful too, because you can do several of the aforementioned items on this chalkboard wall. You can make a calendar. You can make each kid an assignment area. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with a chalkboard wall. Plus, it can be fun, and you can use it for different activities during the course of your homeschooling day. And it's very budget friendly. It doesn't cost much for that can of chalkboard paint, and you can paint a really big wall with it. I know I've only got 9 tips, but my 10th tip is kind of like a few little tiny bonus tips to help you in managing the day and managing clutter. So I've got a few of those real quick. One thing that I like to encourage my homeschool mom friends is sometimes we have expectations that are really just too high. At times, those super high expectations on our own part are what cause us to feel disappointed, to feel like a failure. And if we could just realign our perspective in those expectations, I feel like a lot of moms and dads, parents would just have a different view of what's happening and going on in their home. One of those areas that I encourage my friends to change their expectations on is that of just having a perfect house. So often we have that mindset that what we see on social is what our house should be. And if we don't look like that, then we just don't measure up. And that is so far from the truth. I just want to encourage you to know that that is not reality, that the rest of us, I'm sitting here at my desk and I have got homeschool clutter around me. I've got a bunch of pens and papers left out from working with my preschool granddaughter and other things. It's chaos is a sign of learning oftentimes. And so just take a breath, step back, understand that if you're homeschooling and living in your home, there's going to be messes. There's going to be some chaos, and it's all part of that beautiful thing that we love so much, which is homeschooling. It's learning and growing and being together. Just embrace it. I'm not saying live in a pigsty, but at the same time, know that if you've got some clutter and some messes, it's okay. It's normal. It really is. It's really quite normal. And on that note, one thing that I learned when all of the kids were little, and I often felt this way, was that, here I am, I'm trying to keep up with everything. Why can't I use them more to help me? Instituted this little 10-minute cleanup. Whenever we would stop for lunch, we would do a quick little 10-minute, 5 to 10 minutes. It doesn't even have to be that long. You can set a timer. Maybe you set some funny little song or jingle on the timer on your computer or your app. Do something super fun. Maybe there's a song that goes along with it to get the kids motivated. But everybody, all the way down to the youngest kid, takes part in the 5 to 10 minute cleanup. And then once that's done, you go have lunch. You can come back and things are a little bit easier to jump back in. It's a little bit easier to wrap your mind around things. And then things don't get out of hand as quickly. We would also do a 5 to 10 minute cleanup at the end of the day. Before the kids were allowed to go off, we did a quick cleanup then too. And small increments of cleanups like that were not as painful as a huge, we got to clean everything in the house kind of day. Just throwing that out there as an idea to do little tiny quick cleanups. Set a timer for 5 minutes, play a super fun motivating song, and have a good time doing it. And it also helps Mom and Dad. Another thing, just my final tip before we sign off and I let you go. One thing that I want to encourage you about as well, maybe you're having difficulty juggling everything. Take a second to step back and just look at maybe your homeschool system, how you've got things organized. Maybe it's the curriculum, but look at all the components. And if you just feel like something just isn't working, take a little bit of time to think about it, restructure it, reorganize it, redo your planning. I know that takes some time, but sometimes if we stop, and just say, hey, this is really not working out for me like this. Let's try it another way. That can make all the difference in the world, and your homeschool day can go from a misery to a joy by just switching up a few simple little things. So if you're in that place right now, I just want to encourage you. Yes, it might take you an afternoon of looking and thinking and replanning, but it's so worth it if you can hit that little gold nugget that really does work for you and your family. Those are my few tips to help you organize, help you manage that clutter, and juggle all the responsibilities and things that you have in a practical way. And that's what I was aiming for in today's session. Homeschooling is quite a journey, isn't it? It's always full of adjustments and change and staying flexible. But the key really is to keep things fun and enjoy those moments that you have with your kids. Thank you for tuning in again to Homeschooling and Loving It. I hope you are loving your homeschool day. And until next time, happy homeschooling.